Hello, okay. Now, illicit trade in different types of goods continues to be a concern in the country. The business sector is calling on government to intensify efforts to combat it. They argue that if the status quo remains, the country will become a mafia state. Let's discuss some of these challenges now with Willem Els from the Institute for Security Studies. Willem, good afternoon. Welcome to today, and thank you very much for joining us here on ENCA. Is illicit trade and counterfeit trade fueling organized crime in South Africa?
Good afternoon, Dan. Yes, organized crime has got a very wide spectrum of crimes that actually resort under organized crime, and illicit trade is definitely one of them.
Which are the others?
The others, if you look at your crime index in South Africa, where we are threatening to become a mafia state, we've been rated in 29th in the world in terms of our criminality on a mafia state, and that is normally your extortion, your kidnap for ransom. We're looking at the CIT bombings and robberies, the ATM bombings, and just the organized crime, and also your violent crimes that are also taking over in South Africa, and all of them are unfortunately on the rise.
Yeah, I understand smuggling as well. Cross-border smuggling has increased.
That is true. Our borders are extremely porous. And, the porosity of your border is not only because we don't have fences on the borders. It's because of the very high levels of corruption at your border posts, at your points of entry. And that also contributes to the porosity of our borders. And we see that with the smuggling of explosives through the Beitbridge border post, that is becoming a big concern. We saw that the police had to destroy an excess of 8 tons of explosives that have been recovered after it's been smuggled across the border from there. We also see human trafficking increase. We see the illicit goods coming in from Zimbabwe, your illicit cigarettes coming in. So it is a whole conundrum of these crimes that actually make up for this situation.
Yeah, the warnings have been there from business to say South Africa is risking becoming a mafia state. Besides organized crime, what else would take South Africa to be regarded as a mafia state? What worse can happen now?
I think extortion is actually what derives from the mafia. If you look at the history, and we see that extortion in your big business, extortion on all different levels of the economy, actually contributes to the undermining of the rule of law. But it also challenges the role of the state in order to provide security to business. And that in turn undermines your business confidence and also investment into the country. So it is a vicious circle that we have here.
So we've got an extortion epidemic, as I've heard business leaders recently using the phrase that we have an epidemic of extortion in the country. Plus, you've got illicit trade, you've got cross-border smuggling, plus. This is not good if you are trying to recover the economy. It cannot be good.
Definitely not. It undermines the confidence of the investment community into South Africa, and without foreign investment, your economy cannot really grow. So that is a big challenge for South Africa, because you can see that on all your different levels, where these organized crime syndicates infiltrated virtually every level of our society. And Dan, the sad thing about it is that the higher the level of your state capture or your state actors that have been corrupted by these syndicates, the more effective these syndicates will be, and the more they will be operating with ease in our country. And if we can see how these syndicates are operating almost at free will, it really poses a big challenge to law enforcement and to the government.
Yeah, because normally organized criminals would have a reach that stretches into the law enforcement agencies, as we saw reports coming out of Cape Town recently.
That is correct, but it's not only there. They start off, if you look at the state capture, and that is That is where many of these things originated. When they started to weaken the intelligence sector, they started to weaken the law enforcement and investigation capability. They also weakened the National Prosecuting Authority in order to have the expertise to actually prosecute these kind of cases. And that all of that actually contributed to the situation where we are at the moment, where we are not really winning against these syndicates.
What's the likely impact, if at all, Willem, of organized crime, the way it's going on, like we're heading towards a mafia state, on graylisting?
Oh yeah, all of that will have an effect on that. You know that we are on the verge of being graylisted because South Africa did not show the will to actually actively and effectively counter corruption and also counter the illicit flow of money out of the country. That also, at the end of the day, some of that money will end up funding terrorist organizations, and that is why the international community, the FATF, really came down on South Africa. We received a very poor rating, and there are really efforts from government side now to really up their game and to prevent the graylisting. One of them is that the Poktatara Act against it, that is our Counterterrorism Act, has been put through Parliament. It must just be signed off by President now. That will also go a long way to prevent us from being graylisted. So there's a lot of things. It's not only terrorism, it's the organized crime, but also your financial flows and your illicit financial flows. And there we can also see that they up their game. The Financial Intelligence Center is doing a great job, but they are, it seems to me, overwhelmed at the moment with the sheer magnitude of crimes that are being committed in South Africa at the moment.
Yeah, so the risk is really high around graylisting unless certain things can change, but the organized crime syndicates are not just local. I think there's some international links. Am I wrong?
You are so right. You know, that is why we refer to it as transnational organized crime. You know, for these criminals to operate in Southern Africa, just to use it as an example, to use your syndicates that are smuggling people, your syndicates that are smuggling cigarettes, as well as explosives. You know, they are situated in South Africa. They are situated in countries like Zimbabwe and in Zambia. And if you look at your vehicle theft trade, that is going cross-border, you know, where countries like Mozambique is an end user of some of these vehicles. There are also syndicates operating there, taking it further up to countries like the Congo and Tanzania. So, you know, with the porosity of our borders and these criminal syndicates that are exploiting that, it makes law enforcement really very difficult for us.
Yeah, so one will have to beef up the capabilities of law enforcement.
That's true, but Dan, you know, if we want to really solve this problem, you know, law enforcement cannot do it alone. And it boils down at the end of the day to political will. You know, we got here due to stage capture and other poor decisions and poor governance due to political will. So we will have to reverse that with political will that will be demonstrated, and we will have to develop a very long-term strategy that will systematically rebuild our capacity in terms of intelligence, in terms of policing, in terms of investigation, but also in terms of prosecuting. And that is the only way that we will really win at the end of the day.
Willem Els, thank you very much for your time and insights this afternoon. He's, of course, from the Institute for Security Studies. We're just discussing this warning that business has been giving recently, that South Africa is heading towards becoming a mafia state. And among other factors, illicit trade is driving this, but there's all kinds of other challenges, particularly extortion. There's an extortion epidemic in mining, in construction, and other sectors of the economy.